Okay, I'm very honored and pleased that you would talk with me here, since you are Mr. Pitcairn, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I wouldn't put it that way, but I lived here all my life, so I grew up here, and I dedicated my whole life to Pitcairn and the sports thing and the borough thing and all that. I had different things. I'm still the commander of our Legion post, and I was a mayor for 8 years, and you know, now I'm the commander of our Legion post still yet. I was president of the Pitcairn Civic Association. You know, and I was on different committees. I umpired for 30 years, and I was a manager of a Little League team for 15 years. And, my whole life was there. I dedicated to Pitcairn because I love Pitcairn.
Of course you were a mayor.
Yeah, I was in the 80s, no, 71 and 78. Yeah, I was president of the Pitcairn Civic Association.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was involved in a lot of things at Pitcairn. See, I knew everybody in the town at that time, but now it's a little different. A couple of them still living at my age group, but not too many. You know, I feel so bad with my best friends that I went to school with, you know, and all that. And you think back, and it's hard to believe that they're all gone. I mean, my buddies in high school and all that. You know.
The thing is, you've had a wonderful life,
Yeah,
because they've had a wonderful life, and I believe that we're here for a purpose, and until our purpose is fulfilled, we're gonna stick around for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm honored. This is Frank Gallo, and I'm very honored to be able to speak with you, and thank you for giving me this chance.
Well, thank you for inviting me here.
Now, the question is, how long have you been in Pitcairn?
Let's see, I'm 93 years old. I was born at 539 10th Street. I was born in Pitcairn for practically all my life.
Wow.
Okay, well, with the exception of 1932, I was 6 years old. My dad was a barber in Pitcairn at that time. There were 6 in our family, 3 boys and 3 girls. He had a little bit of money. We decided he wanted to go back to Italy to see take us back to where his parents were from in Italy. I went there in 1932. I went to first grade in Italy in 1932.
You know how to speak Italian.
I can speak a little bit now. But when I went there, I had to learn to speak Italian. You know, It was easy because I was in first grade, and I can still remember the little one-story school, one-room school with it.
Yeah.
There was like the first 2 rows were first grade, second 2 rows were second grade, the third 2 rows were third grade. Well, I had a brother who was a little older than me and a sister, and we were all in the same room, same teacher. That's how they did it over there, because they were just a little village.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty good experience.
Where was it near? What city?
Calabria. My dad, we're from the south, the deep south of Italy, southern Italy.
Not Sicily.
No, that's the cutthroat Sicily.
See, that's what I was told. There's different Italians.
No, we were the good ones, believe me. Yeah, well, we made a lot of friends there, but at that year, Italy almost got into a war with Ethiopia, I think that's what it was. I didn't know, I was a little kid. My brother Richie, the oldest one, he would know your dad real well. He was a draft agent. He was like over 18 years old. They sent us a letter, if a war breaks out, your son's going to have to go to the Army.
Because they were American citizens.
They were American citizens. Not only that, they were living there. So my dad said, "Holy man!" So actually, we weren't planning on coming back. I swear. My dad was going to stay over there because he had some money at that time. We were going to buy a little house and all that. Anyway, I'm glad we come back, because I have everything now that I always wanted.
So how long were you there?
We was there for a little over a year.
Wow.
Yeah, and I spent the rest of my life. I was born and raised on 10th Street, with the exception of 4 years. I lived on Britton Avenue between 9th and 10th Street. Otherwise, I lived on 10th Street almost 86 years of my life, 87 years. I'm
so
still
Pitcairn's in your blood.
Yeah, I was born and raised on the same street,
Wonderful.
And I look at it now like anybody else. It just seemed like it's a new town or something, It's everything's different.
Things change.
Yeah, we had a
have no
nice.
control.
I remember Your dad he used to be in the minstrel shows that we had. I
Yes,
remember
we're gonna
that.
talk about that.
Okay, I would just want to tell you that, you know.
Okay, yeah, let me talk a little bit.
Yeah, right, you go ahead.
Now, do you remember when there were, the fire department had the parades?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, this is a picture I have of my dad, they tell me, that was a drum major.
He was in the band, I know that. Your dad was a nice looking man.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, he was a nice looking man. He was a drum major, but there was 2 fire departments, number 1, number 2. He belonged to number 2. They had a nice band, they had the white and blue suits. And number 1 had the red and white, so they had their own band too, number 1.
Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Wow, that is
That's
amazing.
how many firemen they had in these departments. Now they can hardly get people to join the fire
Isn't
department.
that sad?
So that is sad, but they got along real well. They were both good departments, and we
That's
couldn't
good.
ask for any better, you know.
Well, up in the
No,
hill,
there's Deacon there, I can see that. right.
Deacon, you know him by Deacon.
Deacon.
Do you know why he was called Deacon?
Oh, yeah, he was a squire, he was a justice of the peace.
And that's why they called him Deacon?
Yeah, Deacon, the squire, he had a sign right in front of his house, his name, Deacon Lawfer, justice of the peace, big sign. He used to have hearings there and everything. He lived right down below the Italian club, about 5.
That's true.
Yeah.
I used to go there.
Yeah,
Yep.
you ought to go there now, it looks like a nightclub.
Is it all right?
Oh, yeah, you ought to have somebody take you there.
Wow, that's
You
cool.
know, I don't know whether you know, that's your grandma.
And this is my grandma, her name's
Yeah.
Margaret, and
What
I'm
was
named
it?
after her.
Oh, you're named after, what was her maiden name?
McCurdy.
That was me, is that Colonel McCurdy's sister?
Yes, Bill McCurdy?
Bill, yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
he was well known.
Why was he called Curly?
I don't know that. I always remember him as Mr. McCurdy.
Yeah, he used to have a
He
furniture
was an
store
officer, he was an officer in the Army.
in the Army. That
He was
is-
well known, he was a very nice person.
He was in World War I and
Yes,
World
he
War
was.
II.
Yeah, you're right,
Yeah,
Mr. McCurdy, right.
So that was
I
him.
seen Deacon there right away. I quit.
Deacon,
Yeah,
Deacon.
I see
Now,
that.
somebody told me, why is he called Deacon? I said, I thought it was because he was in the church.
No, he was just like Justice of the Peace is what he was.
Justice of the Peace.
And he was a good person with that job, you know.
Was he?
Everybody liked him, oh, yeah. he was a
Well,
nice
you
guy.
know what I was told? I was told he died, let's see, in 1959, the beginning of November, and he was running for Justice of the Peace.
Yeah, he
He
was.
died
probably-
November
he was probably-
1st, but they had the elections the 13th, and even though he died, he still won.
Huh?
Even
Yeah,
though he
yeah.
died, he
Well,
still
that's
won.
what I'm saying, he was well liked, the whole family was nice,
Oh,
nice
that's
people.
nice, that's nice.
Yeah,
to
he had a
know.
nice father, believe me, I tell you
Okay,
that.
and then we talk about the war. Now, we know that my dad, here's my dad's picture.
Yeah, definitely, he was a really nice looking guy.
That is him,
See,
right?
what I remember, I'm a lot younger than your dad, you know what I'm saying? He graduated in 1936, right?
35, I think.
35, yeah. That's exactly 10 years before I would have graduated, see? But I always remember him, you know, he always had a hat on, he's always well dressed and all that. And he was in a lot of the minstrels that we had too, you
The
know.
minstrels, yes, and
Yeah,
let
he
me
was
show
in
you the
minstrels.
minstrel here. When we bring it up,
Oh, okay, I
that's fine, no problem, we'll just go with the flow here. Okay, first of all, I can't find the one I really want here, let me
Yeah,
find
take
it.
your time.
Here,
that's what they had at the show. I was in that show. I
Yeah.
sang a song, I can't remember the song. I'm trying to see who this guy is. I don't know who that is. but That was that, I remember that show.
that's my
That was
dad,
really-
dressed like a hula girl.
That was, I'll tell you what, they got more laughs at that than in the show. And they had a nice crowd there that time too. man.
I
Oh,
love.
we had nice shows, they were unbelievable.
And then here's two more pictures of the minstrel. That's my dad dressed up like a woman with Deacon.
I'll be darned.
They're dancing.
I'll be darned. That's so
But
good.
you remember the minstrels did
Oh,
things
do I
like that.
remember? I was in quite a few of them.
You used to sing?
Yeah, I always sang a solo song. They had to have permission from NAACP to have their faces painted
Are you
black.
serious?
But
They
that's-
did?
Yeah, but that, yeah, but they thought that was not, but then WACP said, as long as it's a show, we're okay, no problem.
You can't do that now, though, can
No,
you?
you can't do, well, you know, what are you gonna do? Just
It's a
go with the
different
flow,
world.
see? We don't wanna cause any trouble.
And that's him with his son.
Okay,
And my pop-up was the Mr. Interlocutor.
oh, he was interlocking, yeah, he was a smart, he was a really smart guy. Who was this lady here?
I have
Yeah,
no
I wish I
clue.
knew who that was.
I have no clue. I just know that.
Is
Yeah,
that the
there
one
was
where
those
she's
shows.
looking?
We packed them in for those shows.
Yes, and
Yeah.
the thing I remember most about that is I remember going and I was allowed to sit in the front row.
Good, right.
And it was
Yeah,
so nice.
yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to the war thing. My
Yeah.
dad, of course,
You can tell me when he went in and all that. Oh, yeah, he was a real soldier, that guy. He was a hell of a guy, I'll tell
he
you.
was in the Bataan Death March,
Yeah.
and then he ended up being captured, and he went to Kobe, Japan, as a prisoner of war for 3.5 years.
My God, yeah.
So I understand this outfit that he has here, that's the uniform of the, like in the Philippines,
Yeah,
from there. And when
It's tropical.
it was a tropical one. And when the Japs came and took over Bataan, you know, they had to walk that
yeah, 88 miles.
88 miles, yeah.
Yeah, that was terrible. Oh, they had to do something
Now,
like
I don't
that.
know if you know this, but it's stated in my dad's own words in an article that when he was on the Bataan Death March, they needed a truck driver, so they pulled him out, because my dad was just a little guy, right?
Yeah, little and tough.
Oh, thank you. And so he escaped from the Bataan Death March.
Yeah,
And a Filipino boy took him in a cart and wheeled him to the civilian hospital. And he stayed in the civilian hospital for 3 months, and they cared for him. Whenever the Japs came in, they would wheel my dad into the delivery room to pretend like he was a woman having a baby.
what the heck,
And that lasted for 3 months, until one time the Japs came in, he was in a gurney. And the Filipino people came and they said, no, he's Filipino. And then they found his dog tags. That's when they took control of him. They sent him to a prisoner of war camp in the Philippines, and then they sent him by a coal freighter over to Kobe. And he
Kobe,
was
Japan.
there for 3.5 years.
yeah, right. But tell me something, did he enlist or was he drafted? Did you know that?
I think,
He was one of the first ones in there from Pitcairn that I know of.
really?
Yeah, I'm pretty
I'm
sure.
not quite sure of
Yeah.
that. I just,
Well, yeah, it doesn't matter, I mean, you know. but
maybe that
I was just
article.
curious to see. If I know him, he probably enlisted, you know.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
not sure.
okay, let me go on a little further here. Okay, so when my dad left to go to the Philippines, they didn't know, but my mom was pregnant.
Oh, be
They had gone to Winchester, Virginia to get married before he shipped off
Yeah,
to the, yeah. So they didn't know that she was pregnant. So my dad went to the Bataan Death March there, and then all of a sudden, nobody knew where these people were.
yeah.
So he became missing in action.
Huh.
So and while he was missing in action is when my mom gave birth to my brother.
I'll be darned.
2 things my mom told me. One, when my brother was born, my brother had yellow jaundice. And she looked at my brother and she said, just because your dad's fighting the Japs, you don't have to look like one.
Oh, that's a nice sense of humor there. That makes you, you know, I mean, it's nice that people feel that way instead of being jewelry all the time.
Yeah.
Crepe hangers, I call them.
It
You always
must.
try to look the things the bright way, you know, they aren't that way. You try to make it that way, you know.
So anyway, so what I want to
That's really
share
cool.
with you about is while he was missing in action, nobody knew whether he was dead or alive until.
What year was that? Do you recall the year?
He was taken prisoner in 1942.
42?
So in 42, and that's when my brother was born, and he was missing in action for 2 years.
Yeah, he had to be one of the first ones in Pitcairn to go to service around that year. You know,
He went in 41.
Yeah,
He
well, that
went.
was when the war really started.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
But he was missing in action until, and the family didn't know anything about it, until February 7th, 1944, they picked up this Life magazine.
1940.
In this Life magazine is this picture. And there's my
Hey,
dad.
your dad, probably
And that, you see it, does it look like him to you? I have other
Yes,
closer
it does.
pictures, but, and that's how they knew, and they had some hope that he could still be alive.
hold this a minute, please. Let's see if I can get the glass out of there. Let me see that picture.
But they have guns here, so this had to be before they were taken under control, right here.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I can tell his face, yeah. Yes, that's it, he had that hat cocked a little bit to the right.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, you see something like this, it makes you sick, you know?
Well-
I thought people, the Pitcairn was all, everybody knew about them being in the death march, and they just, they felt bad, the people in Pitcairn. You know, people don't realize what wars are like until they're in one.
that's right. There's nothing positive about any
Yeah,
war.
right.
Now, you were in the service, right?
Yeah, I was in the Navy.
And did you say at one point your ship went over by the Pitcairn?
Yeah, we went by there on our way to, here, let me tell you a little story.
Okay.
Okay. Iwo Jima was it was 1945, that was Iwo Jima, okay? We took them there, then went from Iwo Jima to Okinawa,
Oh,
right 2 months after that. I remember the battle, we raised the
yes.
flag.
My husband's father was in Iwo Jima.
Was he in yeah.
Mhm.
That battle was over, and they went to Okinawa. See, they fought there after a while. And we went up to, they beat Okinawa, naturally we beat them up there. Now we're on our way to Japan to see if we can sign the armistice. President, he was the president.
Truman
Truman was the president, yeah, he was the president at that
or
time.
Roosevelt? Which
No,
one?
no, Roosevelt died during his office term.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
Truman was the vice president, and he took his place.
Oh, okay.
And all our ships had, they had these intercom systems on every ship in the fleet. I remember going there, he was on an intercom, we were on our way to Japan, see? And it was right before August, we were back at the 9th or 10th of August. We were on our way there, and I remember hearing him on the intercom, they gave him one warning, the Japanese people, you know. They had to hear it, they wouldn't quit, he warned them. 2 days later, he gave them another warning, they didn't quit. I think the third time, he said, this is your last warning, you have an unconditional surrender, or we're gonna use the H-bomb, whatever it is, you know. Then they got a little bit leery. They dropped that first H-bomb. I said, we're on our way there, right, we're close by.
Oh, you were.
August the 14th, 1950.
45.
Yeah, 45, it was August the 14th. They dropped the first one, and like 2 days later, it was on the Enola Gay, that was the name of the airplane. It was named after the pilot's mother or his wife, whatever. And the second time we warned them, they still wouldn't quit, and the third warning came, that's when they quit. So they had they stopped fighting, and the fighting was done in the Yokohama Bay. It was signed. The peace treaty was signed in Yokohama, Tokyo Bay, right there.
Okay.
Okay, and our ship was, we were the flagship on our ship. In other words, the flagship is the one that carries the United States flag up to the point. There was 5 destroyers in our group, so we were
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. We had 3 carriers in the center. Our job was to protect the carriers at all costs. That was one of our jobs. If there was a torpedo headed for a carrier, we had to intercept it.
Really?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, wow.
that was the rule.
You were a destroyer.
They were going to destroy us. See, the thing was, carriers carry 5,000 people. This one I was on 275 with the officers.
Okay.
So it's better to lose 275 than 5. That's the way
Wow.
they feel.
Wow.
That was their thing, yeah. And we got there, and they signed the armistice. And I remember it was I think it was on a Sunday morning, September the 2nd, 1945. I was on. We were all at battle wedding stations. We were afraid they were going to get us and trap us, you know. But that didn't happen. My post on the ship was, I was a first class seaman, but my combat area was, I was on a 20 millimeter gun. See, we had four 20 millimeters, two port side, two the other side. In other words, we had four 5-inch guns, four 5-inch guns, 2 forward, 2 aft, and 2 40 millimeter guns. We had 10 torpedo tubes and all kind of depth charges. So we chased submarines too. So we did everything.
Wow.
We have, be honest with you, I think the destroyers, not bragging nothing, they were the most combative ships they had.
Wow.
We had more power than any of the other ones, because they had power. But they could maneuver a little better than that, you know. Then you're firing all kind of airplanes, you know, but you know, whether you hit it or whatever. They had those suicide planes, the Japanese had. And so they finally signed the arms. I remember I watched they were on a battleship Missouri. That's where it was signed. It was in close to land in Tokyo Bay. And I could see all the big brass walking around with the white suits and all that, the Japanese. You know, I could see with binoculars.
Wow.
Yeah, when he signed the armistice. That was the end of the war there.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I want to tell you something that I'm a little worried about. That H-bomb, you know, I thought about, you know, that I didn't like the idea of that H-bomb. You know, I thought we could have beat him anyway. But there was a reason for everything, I guess. I was thinking about little kids. It wasn't the people that hated us. It was the government. The leaders like Hitler. See, he was a misfit. Hitler. He was crazy.
Right.
Yeah, and
Wow.
I was thinking of little kids being blind and people. You know, that bothered me. You think I'm saying to myself, oh, those people are going to get killed and all that. You know, then you wonder why they're going to do that. We could have beat them without that. But, you know, I didn't like that. But I was thinking of the people. Japanese are nice people. They're nice people. It's the leaders, you know, that do all this.
Now, you know what I was told? I was told, had we not dropped that bomb, all of the POWs would have been killed.
I think you're right, yeah. There you go, see,
But let me tell you about the H-bomb. There was a gentleman who was with my dad in the POW camp, who when he came home, he went to New Hampshire. And I sent out letters back in my 40s to try to connect with these people. And he connected with me, and he came down to Grove City to meet me. And he came down and told me lots and lots of things. And he told me, because that time I was in my 40s, and he said, Peggy, have you gone to be checked yet at the VA hospital? I said, no, what are you talking about? He said, well, let me tell you a story. When the bomb was dropped, mainly the one I think Nagasaki was the closest to Kobe.
Yeah.
He said nobody knew what was going on, so the Japanese had the POWs come out. And he said, we watched the mushroom cloud come over. And he said, when the mushroom cloud was over top of us, he said, we put our hands out and we could see right through our hands. Now, he said to me, since I was the offspring of my dad who went through that, he said what they were finding is the offspring, when they got in their 40s, they were coming down with cancer.
Oh, geez.
So he said to me, Peggy, you're 45, you should go get checked at the VA hospital. And I thought, what are they going to do anyway? So I called the Butler VA and I said, have you heard of this? They said, yes, do you want to come in and get checked? And at that time I thought, there's nothing they could do. If I have it, whatever. But he said, I must caution you, it can skip generations. And I have 2 sons and I have 2 granddaughters. But they tell me, since I have not had it, it gets weaker as it goes on from generation to generation.
Is that right?
But war is still, even though it was 1945 when this happened,
Yeah.
it still affects us even now.
Yeah. Well, not to interrupt you, what you're saying, I agree, totally agree. But my son Tommy has Parkinson. He
Yes.
never had Parkinson. Nobody in the family had that,
Yes.
as far as I know. And there, he has a Parkinson. They threw that, they sprayed that
Agent Orange.
Agent Orange and killed all the
Mhm.
greenery. See, and he has that now. And people die from that. There's three ways it can affect you. I think it's heart, cancer, and something else. 3 ways will kill you. He must have the one that, I don't know whether you remember, what's the name, he was out in North Pitcairn. His daughter just died here not long ago with Parkinson.
I don't know.
Edwards, family. He had one daughter had Parkinson. They played drill to her head to try to fix it up. So they couldn't do it. Poor thing, she died. Then wasn't long after that, I think he had another in the family that died. Then Pussy Edwards, he died. They were like, it perfected them, they see it
Yeah.
somehow. Yeah, it's a shame.
So, but we're here for a reason, and I believe we're here for a purpose, and once our purpose is done, we're done.
Yeah, how's your sons? Are they okay?
My sons are fine. My oldest son's 45.
Yeah.
So of course, right away, I think
No, I don't
crazy
even
stuff.
think about that.
They said they could go get checked, so I don't know if
Yeah,
that would
yeah.
happen at all. But anyway, let me move on here real
Okay,
quick.
okay.
Okay, so when the war was done, and thank you for your service, because you being out there, you were one of the ones that helped to get my dad back home. Because had we not bombed Japan
Yeah,
and not done that,
yeah.
he probably never would have
I'll
come
never
home.
come home, no.
So, and I wouldn't have been born. Well, anyway, I have this picture, and this is the picture that I have. This was in the Post-Gazette. This was when my dad first arrived home. My brother was 3.5 years old, and this is my mom.
I'm looking at this picture. I swear I remember seeing this in the paper.
Wonderful, good.
I'm almost positive I remember this. Not to interrupt you, your mother's maiden name, was she a
Was
Phelps?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's the Phelps lady there, right? there.
Yes, yes, her
She had a
name was
couple
Doretha.
Yeah, they lived out in North Pitcairn.
Yes,
Is
yes,
that right?
yes,
She had a couple brothers.
yes, yes,
Yeah, a couple
yes,
brothers, yeah, the Phelps family.
yes.
Yeah,
Rob-
she was.
Robbie retired Navy.
Yeah, my Uncle Robbie retired Navy.
Robbie was the oldest of the boys, huh?
Yes,
Yeah, it was a brother too, right? Did
Yes.
you have a brother?
He was
Yeah, there was a brother, there's another one,
yeah, that was the one that we don't like to talk about.
Oh, if I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, your mother was a beautiful lady.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, she
Thank
was.
you.
Oh, I mean, that's just true.
Thank you.
And your dad was nice looking too.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so this is where I want to verify some stuff. When my dad came home, he gave the Pitcairn Express.
Uh-huh.
It's dated November 16th, 1945. Him and Clem Troy both gave an interview, and this is 5 pages long, Life as a Prisoner of the Japs.
Uh-huh.
Now, when I wrote my book, everything I put in there was about my dad's own words that I got from this
Yeah,
and what he said here that he went through.
yeah.
Do you remember the Pitcairn Express?
Oh, definitely, yeah, right on Broadway.
It was on, okay.
Yeah,
And this, obviously talked about things that went on in Pitcairn all the time.
yeah,
And then it went from Pitcairn Express to the Times Express,
Time
right?
Express, yeah.
Yeah. I have tried to get in to find if anybody had archives, but nobody has archives. So this actual thing, I'm very protective of this because there's not other copies of
Yeah.
this. But it was right here, Life as a Prisoner of the Japs by
Yeah,
Corporal
yeah.
Roy Lochner, and here by,
There was a welcome back, soldiers and sailors, welcome back servicemen. That was dedicated to them. They might have had a parade. I think they did. See. Okay, when did he get discharged?
let's see, he got discharged October 1945.
October 1940, October.
Mhm.
Oh, that's the year. You remember October 45, yeah, I was in high school then. Yeah, that's when I went to service.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to service in February.
And that's just a picture of my mom and my dad and my brother.
Yeah, that's your dad.
That's my dad.
Yeah,
And that's my mom and that's my brother.
oh, be darned.
Yeah.
It's a shame, you look at it in person, you look at him, you wonder why things have to happen, you know? It's a
We
damn
don't
shame.
know, that's for sure.
I feel sorry for the whole family, he had to go through.
Well, let me tell you, my dad came home, and I have so much respect for veterans that come home, because after witnessing and going through what they go through, they have to come and do a normal life. And my dad, he must have done the best he could, because he came home and he worked at the post office,
Yeah,
and he drove the ambulance.
yeah,
Do you remember that?
oh, yeah,
You do? And he was in the fire company.
definitely, he was a good fireman, you know, he was just a good citizen, period.
And so he went on to normal life. Now, I knew he liked to drink a lot. They tell me he drank a lot. But hey, what he went through, that's just minor. But
I
anyway,
never remember him drinking a lot, as far as I'm concerned, I never seen him drunk, to tell you the truth.
really?
No, I never seen him drunk.
That's good. Well, then I always tell people, okay, so he went along his married life and normal life, and then the biggest exciting day of his life came when I was born.
Oh,
And that is a picture of me and my brother.
you were cute.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm
you
glad
were-
I
you still
was.
cute. Yeah, you were a cute little girl.
But
And
that's
your brother, I remember him. He looked more like your husband.
my
Not
dad.
Your dad, I'm
My
sorry.
dad, yep.
Am I right?
Yep,
When I look at him,
exactly.
yeah, he looked like
The
your
dark
dad.
eyes and the dark
Yeah.
hair.
I looked at, yeah, it looks,
Yep, Earl and Earl.
yeah, nice. Well, you lived on 6th Street with that, right?
No, we lived at 488 Broadway, right next to Helpy's.
Oh, down there you lived.
We lived down
48
there.
Broadway.
Yeah, now my grandparents lived on 8th Street,
Yeah,
608 8th
608,
Street.
right,
Mhm.
yeah,
But we lived down over the hill there,
yeah, okay, by help.
right next to Helpy's, on the apartment there.
Yeah, yeah, I got you.
Okay, so then I got to show you this picture. This is the very last picture I have of my dad. My dad's 40, my mom's 38, my brother's 14, and I'm 7.
Oh, you know, that's a nice picture.
Now,
there.
2 weeks after this picture was taken is when my dad died of a massive coronary.
Yeah,
Yep, he was, and I can remember my grandma Lochner insisting that we get this picture taken. And she was so upset because this is Ed Guy. Do you remember Ed Guy?
good guy, yeah, that's Bug Guy's brother probably.
He was the one who was a coal, he
He was a janitor.
delivered coal.
Yeah, delivered coal.
He
yeah.
delivered. Well, my grandmother, I remember, even at 7, I remember saying, Ed, get your head out of that, because this is a very important picture.
Yeah,
And my grandma didn't know how important this picture was, because my dad died 2 weeks after this picture.
that's a hard
So,
shame, you know.
So anyway,
Our town, he was a brave man, your dad. See, our town did their share as far as the soldiers and sailors and that, you know. We have people in this town who are really decorated, like, one of the mostly decorated guy in Pitcairn is Ralph Yothers. You know, he was a pilot.
I didn't know him.
Did
Where
you
was
know
he
him?
from now?
Pitcairn, he was from the hill.
On the hill?
Yeah, he lived on the hill. He married Misty Pickersell, I don't remember her or not.
Okay.
Anyway, he went through a lot of combat in Europe. He was one of the, he had to be one of the top pilots in the Navy. It was called the those days it wasn't called Army Air Force, it was called
Army Air
Army
Corps.
Yeah, Army
Air
Air
Corps.
Corps,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, so he was pretty well decorated. But I don't think anybody went through more than what your dad went through, you know.
Well, this just happened to be October 7th, 1956. This was his obit. And even at 7 years old, I remember the big military thing out of Penn Lincoln and how everything,
Where's your dad buried?
Penn Lincoln.
Oh, that's in Lincoln. My wife's up there. She's got a what do you call it?
Mausoleum.
Mausoleum,
Mausoleum,
yeah.
yeah. So, I really appreciate you being able to acknowledge these things. It
Yeah.
means a lot. Now, I'm going out on a limb here to ask you if you'd do something for me.
I could, I'd do it in a minute.
No, well, here's the thing. You told me whenever you were in the minstrel, whenever you, when they had the ribbon cutting here, that you sang for that.
Oh, yes.
Remember the ending of the song when you said when you cut the ribbon? Would you sing that for me?
Definitely, I'll sing it again.
Would you?
Do
Thank
you
you.
want to hear it again?
Right now, yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Okay. If I had my life to live over, I'd do the same things again. I'd still want to roam near the place I call home, where my happiness never would end. I'd meet you when school days were over, would walk through the lanes we once knew. If I had my life to live over, I'd still fall in love with Pitcairn. There you go.
You're a sweetheart.
Yeah, that's true. I love Pitcairn. I always did and always will. I'm going to die here, that's for sure.
Wow.
But see, I don't know. When I was growing up, I seen things when I was like a teenager, and I seen things that didn't look right, about parking and stuff like that, Those days, everybody had shopping bags. There weren't that many cars those days when I was growing up, They took pictures of the old, you ever see that old times tape? You ever see that
Where
tape?
the,
That eight tape
where
of the old timers.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you
yeah.
see that?
I have seen it,
That's
yes.
how it was then. Yeah,
That was great.
everybody flying, they were flying.
Yeah.
2 movie theaters with, there wasn't one vacant building then, when I remember going in the 50s and the 40s. There wasn't one vacant, all the business places were busy. Bro, by the way, your father, did he work in the air brake?
No, my pop-up did.
Clyde. Yeah,
Deacon,
okay.
yeah.
I knew somebody in that worked in the air brake. Yeah, Pitcairn was booming then, oh my God.
Yeah.
The war started. We put a lot of people in that service in the World War II and all the other wars. We did our share. You
Yes.
can go down to this valley and you look at those tablets down there, and nobody can come
Yes.
close to ours.
And that's what I wanted to talk to end about the tablets. Tell us about the tablets that are not too far from here.
No, they're right there, right next door down here, 2 doors. There's a park building and the tablets.
Okay.
That's what we have every year Memorial Day. We have the services there.
And what's all the tablets for there?
There's World War I. I think there's World War I. I forget how many we had in World War. We had quite a few people in World War I. In World War II, we had almost 1,100 in service in World War II. And Vietnam, I think there was 242, somewhere around there. And the other war, the last war, that was the...
Vietnam.
No, Vietnam was first, and
And then Desert Storm.
no, the other one, I'm sorry, was Vietnam, I'm not
Korea?
sure. Pardon?
Korea,
yeah,
yes.
right, Korea. Now, Korea was before Vietnam, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yes.
I had that wrong, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Yeah, they had about the same amount of people in there, we did our share.
Wow.
I mean, the women those days, they all had jobs, they worked on the railroads and different places, air brakes, and there weren't that many men left around here to go to service then in the 40s, They did a good job, the women, they helped, they did their share, and we did our share too, The town was, everybody was happy and everything was nice,
It was great.
Yeah, it is now.
This is great. And
Yeah.
I personally want to thank you for your service.
Oh,
Because truly, my husband, who was in the Navy for 6 years, said, I wasn't in the war, I wasn't this. But I believe if you sign on that dotted line and you give how many years to the service,
yeah.
it needs to be applauded.
Yeah.
So I thank you, because you were right in the thick of it out there in that destroyer.
Well, there was people really seen a lot of comment. Some of the people I knew personally got killed over there, see. As a matter of fact, my one brother, Sammy, he was in the second wave at Normandy. I have a brother, Sammy. He's 2.5 years older than me. He was in the second wave. He got a little bit of shrapnel and that. But they're all dead. My other brother was in the medical. We were all at the same time. He was in the medical corps. He came out okay. when I was in the Navy, I come out of base. But I have a lot of friends I'm thinking about some of them now, to get Barry, Christopher, different ones I knew. There was two in high school I knew personally, you might have remembered, I know you would know. Ronnie Stevenson.
Yes.
Yeah, Ronnie Stevenson and Jack McClay.
McClay, yep, they went to school with me.
Right, yeah,
Yep.
exactly, they were the same grade, they went to
Yep.
school with you. Well, I had Jack McClay on my Little League team, so I managed Little League team for 19 years. Just the nicest kids you ever want to
Yep.
see, and what's his name was saying?
And Ronnie Stevenson.
Ronnie Stevenson.
Yep,
They were pals growing up together, they lived catty corner from one another on
Hillside.
Hillside Avenue. And then they were friends in high school here, they both gave their lives, their country, you know.
Yep,
18-year-old.
just doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
No, they
But you
don't.
know, we still have our faith. We still
Yeah.
know that God, for whatever reason this all happened,
Yeah,
we need to trust in God, knowing that
yeah.
it was supposed to happen for a reason.
I mean, everything that happens for a reason, it's, you know. Yeah.
So I thank you
You
very
can have
much.
that.
Oh, thank you very much. We're going to end that tape here. I want to thank you for
Yeah.
doing this.
70 years we were married.
Oh, this is your wife?
Yeah, that's my
Oh,
wife.
this is his wife. Oh, cool.
Yeah, we were married 70 years.
And what was her name?
Norma.
Norma.
Yeah, she graduated.
70 years. There's not
Everybody
many people that
No,
can say
you're right.
that.
You're right. I was married, Sarah. I lived on that street over 70 years, 10th Street. You know, that's where I live now. I live in the street.
Wow.
I went from the 500, I was born in the 500 block, we moved to the 600 block, and then the 700 block. That's where I'm at now, so 700 block. But,
Okay. Well,
you know,
thank you